Does this year's Pride in Hungary have in common with the Canada Convoy protest, in which Western countries are basic human rights, like right to protest, being silently taken away? Today we talk woke, right wing, pride, and more. Welcome or welcome back to the People's Perspective, where we unpacked what matters, decoded for people who actually think. Keep watching till the end for the happy news of the week. One of the reasons I started this channel is to show everyone who is listening how we are being played. And oh boy, we are being played hard by politicians and the media who divided us into two camps, left and right. They sell us this illusion where every issue can be reduced to black or white, and nothing is just black and white. It's them, the media, and the politicians who pick the topic and push it 24 hours per 7. They take a 3D issue and flatten it into 2D. They do it so we stay distracted hours, days at a time. Then comes the next topic and the next. Meanwhile, the things that actually matter to us stay buried. And they shouldn't be. But then election come. And we don't even realize that what we are doing isn't democracy anymore. They tell us who's left and who is right, and we stop thinking for ourselves. We stop judging by the facts and start reacting with emotions. So, I hope I can show you today how we are being played this time. Stay with me because at the end we will talk about what today's social media influencer aren't telling you about Viktor Orban and his Hungary. If you have something to say about him, stop the video now and comment below. Let's see if our opinions match. So, remember the trucker protest in Canada against mandatory COVID injections? Because the government was left wing, the media call it a right wing protest. Maybe some of the truckers leaned right, but let me ask this. Does standing up against forced medical procedures sound left or right wing to you? To me, standing up to big pharma sounds more like an anarchist movement, more Antifa style than anything else. Although, well, those guys these days have changed since I used to hang out around them. Anyway, I digress. The truckers drove into Ottawa and blocked the city center to protest mandatory COVID injections. They said, "We are free people, we decide what goes in our bodies," and they got massive support from the public. I still remember the lady bringing them Polish sausages. So let's take a look.
Bernadette, and we came here with Anna from Toronto. We brought 1,550 Polish sausages for our truckers. We brought some bread and buns and Polish donuts. And you know what? We know that they drive, so we didn't bring alcohol. But should they request some Polish vodka, we're very happy to bring that too.
Okay, that is wonderful. Why did you do this?
Because we stand behind them. We come from communist country and we came here because we didn't want to have oppression. We wanted to live in a free country, and for the last 2 years we're living like prisoners. We are being told to stay at home. We're told not to go to the restaurant, not to go to the church. I mean, this is unbelievable. During communism times we were able and free to go to the church.
What do you think? It looked more like 1960s hippie gathering. Peace, love, let me be. But mainstream media painted them as violence, right-wing extremists. They were such a threat to democracy that the government used surveillance cameras to scan every truck's plates and identified who entered the city. And then No court order, no trial, just their own judgment, the government judgment, and then they froze their bank accounts. All money gone. The Canadian government punished peaceful protesters by taking all their money, just for standing up to government overreach. So, how does this connect to this year's Pride parade in Budapest? Still in the end, as I expose the shocking connection. Well, Pride is seen as a left wing movement, and obviously it is when we keep the knowledge. And spoiler alert, yeah, parts of the Pride movement at the moment are just disgusting. I thought about showing you clips from this year's Western parades, but I spare it to you and myself. So let's focus on Budapest. In the country of 9.5 million people, an estimate 470,000 took to the streets to protest the government. Right wing media tried to compare it to chaotic pride scenes from the West, but this wasn't the same thing. Not even close. And now, here is the twist. When you look past the binary narrative, this protest wasn't much different from Canada's truckers. Right wing media wants you to believe Hungary is the last holy land standing up to the evil EU and woke culture. They say Hungary is defending family, faith, and European Christian values. Compared to France, Germany, or England, Hungary looks like it's doing well. Personally, I do support some of Orban's resistance to EU policies, obviously, and I support people pushing back on the extreme of the pride movement, like the Billboard guy or case against groomers. But Hungary's situation isn't that simple. While researching, I saw Swiss journalists asking what right wing extremists would do if Pride went ahead despite the ban. Well, I can bet you that some of them joined the Pride this year. From my personal experience, I came to Switzerland 10 years ago. Back then, most foreign workers were Portuguese and Eastern Europeans, lots of Polish people. Now, Poles come here to Switzerland on vacation. In hospitality, it's mostly Hungarians and Portuguese working now. For Polish students or grads, it's just not worth anymore. Within the decade, Poland blossomed, and from working with Hungarian people, let me tell you straight, the picture of Hungary as this perfect country being rebuilt by Orban's selfless service, well, that's not reality. Reality is why hundreds of thousands are protesting. Reality is why thousands are leaving Hungary to support their families from abroad. So let's start from the end. As the last straw, Orban passed a law allowing the government to cancel any protest they don't like. And guess what? People don't protest because they agree with the government. Mr. Orban, sorry to break it to you, but protest is not about saying thank you. It's about saying no. When you want to block sick pride behaviors, you don't need to block the whole nation to have a say in the country. There are plenty of other options. What some in Western media called stopping the war pride agenda was actually just silencing all opposition. The support for pride this year, it was a giant middle finger to Orban's protest ban. When people march in the streets in huge number, it's usually not about sexual identity. It's about power and who has the right to speak up. Blocking all protests against the government? That's tyranny. And there is more. Orban built a loyal elite, a caste of insiders living well. His family, whoever is in top government. But the real Hungary, it's poor. Some areas looks like a third world country. Just look at the public hospital in Budapest.
Megdöbbentő volt látni, milyen állapotban van a kórház. Koszos, hideg és nagyon elakkor. Elszomorító, hogy az orvosnak és az ápolóknak ilyen környezetben kell dolgozniuk, miközben óriási
So, what's the moral here? Don't trust the media. Any media. Don't let journalists or politicians tell you what to think. Do your own research. Hell, do not trust me. Research it both on your own and come back if I am wrong. I would be happy to correct myself because left or right, we are all being played. Divide and rule, and that's tragedy. And they already divide us. Now they are just ruling us, and I'm worried what comes next. And while we are busy fighting, they are taking away our basic rights, like the right to the protest, using surveillance systems that won't feel out of the place, maybe in China or North Korea. It's crazy. Remember, two things can be true at the same time: left or right, modern or old, woke or Nazi. And when governments, whether in Canada, Hungary, or anywhere else, start using surveillance tech to silence protesters, that's not democracy, that's control. Here's the thing: this is just the surface. Because in the next episode, we are kicking off new series, The Whistleblowers, and we are starting with the name they tried to erase, the man who showed us what happens behind closed doors when power goes unchecked. You guessed it, Julian Assange. How he went from journalist to prisoner, and why you should care no matter your politics, because what they did to him they can do to anyone. And once you see that, you will understand exactly why this is fight for your rights, your voice, and is more urgent than ever. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in last week. This video, in terms of the views, didn't get so much attention as previous ones, but those who watch really stuck with it. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it, every single one of you who, like, even with those hard topics, are coming back here. And it really helped me going, as by everyone probably right now. I am here weekly happy, but in the back, big changes are happening right now in my life. So this space makes me really going, this Sundays. So thank you for that. So let's start with NGC Cat's Eyes. She wrote, in Australia, if you are dibber whistleblower, you are usually treated with hero status, especially if it is calling out injustice or violations against elderly or vulnerable. You speak out against the fuss or big corporations and they harass you, and the media treats you like a mongrel dog. Firstly and honestly, I needed to Google some of the words. I'm not the best in Australian English, but yes, here we go. Try do my try do better in the future. And yes, that's horrible. Obviously, if you are standing up against abuse of elderly or children or some, hopefully, you are a hero. But the other guys, they get treated like horribly. And as you can see, you mentioned also Julian Assange. So the next whistleblower, the first whistleblower video will be about him. I'm waiting for other names which you could or would like to see. So, and the next comment came from David Gray, 2075. He wrote, I had to consult the NHS policy of whistleblowing on a couple of occasions when more senior managers, totally out of their depth, needed brought to book. Nobody should suffer for telling the truth. And yes, David, you are completely right. Nobody should suffer for that. And I'm starting to think that whistleblowers are breaking some kind of the taboo. Therefore, not everyone is happy about their actions. And I'm sure you could tell us some interesting stories. But as we know now, you are not allowed to talk about it. And I would love to invite you for the channel to maybe spill some tea about NHS managers. Imagine being tens of meters deep in the glacier, and your only hope is a tiny dog. In the Swiss Alps, a hiker fell into an icy crack while crossing the Fay Glacier. He had a walkie-talkie, but no one knew exactly where he was. Rescue crews searched from the air, but the glacier was so huge and the hole barely visible. And then, on the distant rock, they spotted a movement, a little fluff of courage. It was his chihuahua, waiting, watching, refusing to leave. Right next to it, the collapsed snow bridge. Rescuers rappelled down, pulled the men out, and flew both to safety. Herr Zermatt called the dog a four-legged hero, never moving an inch, tracking every moment of the rescue. Today, that Chihuahua isn't just a man's best friend, he's a lifesaver. Give it up for the tiniest emergency responder in the Swiss Alps. Thank you for watching till the end, and as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, knowledge is the key.